Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can create for yourself at home a painting of a little puffin holding an iris flower. I'm going to be explaining it step by step. We're going to be using this reference photo thing here to create our painting, and this is from an earlier one you had voted on that just didn't quite make the last vote, but so many of us liked him that I thought I'd bring him back. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He helps me bring these crazy and fun lessons to you by making sure all the cameras turn on and that they're pointed at what we're doing and that we can see the live chat and I can see my references as well. So he's like my co-captain.
I may be today.
You are my co-captain today.
Right.
We have a bunch of people. If you're here for the live, all the people with wrenches are moderators, and moderators in this live stream are not art cops. They're not here to like do the art beatdown. They are ambassadors. And so if you have a question during the show, put it all in caps. No one will think you're lying. And then either our moderators, sometimes our community, or maybe even potentially me, will answer your question during the live stream. If you're here after the live stream watching on the replay and you have a question, the comments are a great place to put. I like read my comments, so the comments are a great place to leave me messages, to ask questions, to just sort of reach out. There is a great place to do that. That's what I use them for. So they're useful down there. And speaking of down there, there's a more button. And if you open up the more button, there is more. In fact, lots more. So much more. There is the materials. After the stream, there'll be timestamps for the chapters. So then when we go step by step, the steps, so you can find your place again if you take a break during the painting. There's a link to my website, and there's a link to the traceable. So, and that's free. You don't have to be a patron or a member or anything to get the traceable. That's just, you just got to go get it. That's all you got to do. So definitely check out that, and you find that under the more. Sometimes it's a little hard to find, but it's there. If you can't get there, I'm at the artsherpa.com. So you can find all those resources there just by searching, generally. I'm going to sip my coffee. I'm sipping it. You sip it, and I'm going to sip it.
It's coffee sipping time.
It is sippy time. Gonna paint a painting. Gonna paint a puffin.
It's a puffin day.
Yeah. If you needed a serious, aggressive art teacher, probably not your gal. But if you just want somebody that like makes painting fun and actually explains it to you, I probably am. But I do sippy coffee. Alrighty then. Now that I'm a little bit caffeinated and ready for my journey, let's go over the materials. So this is an 8x8 surface. It's a stretch canvas, and I think it's an economy canvas, so it's a nice surface here. I have the acrylic paint colors Phthalo Blue. Then above it is Ultramarine Blue. Then Cad Yellow Medium, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad Red. I have Dioxazine Purple right here, Phthalo Green, Mars Black, Burnt Sienna. In the center is Titanium White. Right here is a little Mars Black and Ultramarine Blue because I'm going to do kind of a smoky, interesting background. A little different than our reference photo because reference photos are just references. They're not commandments that we follow to the letter. We use them to help us like plan our painting. And right here I have this gloopy liquid. The gloopy liquid is Satin Glazing Liquid by Golden. So it's a slow drying extender for acrylic colors. It's my favorite product for blending and getting glazes, which we're going to be doing both techniques in this particular painting. Now that we have that out of the way and you know the materials we're going to use, we're going to do the easy step, which is to paint the whole background a color. Step one. So I think today I'm going to paint the background burnt sienna. So I'll just squeeze out. You don't have to do it this way. This is just a weird way I like to do it on the show. Looks really good on the shorts when we do a short from the video because we try to get a 1 minute little short made from these long videos. And so you can kind of see the lesson in time lapse, which is nice if you're like trying to decide if something is for you. I'm going to use water here though. If you're like, what is she using that magic stuff on the canvas? I'm just using water. And I'm going to go ahead and take a 1-inch oval mop and just splatter this out everywhere. I'm going to brush this out.
Was your brush a little wet there?
No, my brush wasn't wet. I overwet the canvas.
Oh, that's what, I was like, where did all the water come from?
Yeah, I overwet the canvas. I got a little enthusiastic with my spray bottle.
Oh, that's what it was.
Sometimes you get a little enthusiastic with a spray
I
bottle.
think
and
I was
then-
busy switching when you were spray bottling, and I was
Yeah, I
like,
was enthusiastically spray bottling. I'm coming around here. I'm kind of painting around the sides a little bit. Not as much as some of you guys paint around the sides. Some of you guys paint the sides fully and around this whole side so you don't have to frame, which is okay. That's a thing you can totally do. I paint just enough to make sure if I were to frame, none of the white canvas would show. And I'm just smoothing this out so it's a nice reasonable coat of paint. It doesn't have to be perfectly non-streaky. I'm just trying to make sure that we're distributed evenly because I glooped out the paint. Gloop is a painting technical term.
yeah, I think Amy was suggesting that that Golden rebrand their product to Gloopy Liquid.
Goopy, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I'm sure they love I call it that. I'm sure that they're just sitting there going, oh,
Right,
I love that she calls it gloopy liquid.
You know, in all fairness, paint companies historically don't have a great history of like naming things.
No,
They-
sometimes they get a little art nerdy in there.
There
They
is.
name it
You gonna try this one?
different. Yeah, I'm going to try this one.
All right.
All right, let me, oh, if I can reach my hairdryer. Nope, I didn't. I have to fish it up. It's
right, that's
fishing
me.
hole. All right, I got
All right, guys. So yeah, it's let's see, what do we got here? Lindsay, I'm going to catch up to your question there in just a minute. I'm not exactly sure there, but if you guys have a question, put it in all caps, and we'll see if we can get to them in the show. Sometimes I can help you. Sometimes there's going to be moderators in the group. They'll help answer questions. We may give you links to the website where we can find more stuff, and in the description down below, you'll find more stuff, and you can. Maybe you need to hear me better. My microphone. Okay, so my microphone is very, very bad. My headset broke, and so I have to get a new one, and this is my temporary one, and so yeah. But I'm gonna do what I can. Maybe you can bring in I've got a better microphone, so I'll go fetch a better microphone that I can just plug in, and then I don't have to have such a gnarly. Yeah. It was. Oh, I gotcha. It wasn't Amy. It was Heather who suggested the rebrand. I gotcha. I mistake who it was.
I have a question. Does chalk help from Lindsay Michelle?
There we go. She was, yeah.
Does chalk help when I trace the rooster in one section? It didn't come out when I used the white graphite. Will chalk mess it up? No, you can use chalk to finish out a tracing that didn't totally transfer. Totally allowed. Or to improve lines. Oh, Heather C., thank you so much. And then Taylor says, is there a video on varnishing the acrylic, specifically acrylic on paper? There's not one specifically for acrylic on paper, but I do have videos on varnishing. I've got a couple of them on the channel, and hopefully the moderators can find them and link one there. There's a fun one from a minute ago where I talked about one of my favorite products, but it's not available anymore. The Liquitex gloss, medium, and varnish. So now I would suggest just doing the Liquitex varnish. And if you have a smooth painting, you can do brush on, and if you have a bumpy painting, you should do spray on. That's like, I could do a short on that because I can now explain it in real short order what you do there. I weirdly hear myself.
What's that? Oh, maybe.
You know what? I must have have a window open somewhere on my.
Or.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see. Maybe I got something not mic'd down. No.
Nope, it was me.
It was you.
It
Okay.
is me.
Sometimes it's me. I got things too. I have and my microphone's
Sometimes
all
it's
wonky,
you.
So.
Sometimes I'm
You know what?
alone. Sometimes I'm not.
You know what it is?
What?
It's step 2.
Step 2. For me and for you, step 2. All right, so I'm going to be back into my 1-inch oval mop, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my glazy medium into it. And I'm going to mix some blue and Mars black together, and I'm going to make kind of a Payne's gray. Get a little white. And we're going to do kind of a smoky background. So just a little bit lighter than the background of the photograph, because I want the puffin to stand out a little bit more. I'm going over the brown.
Over the brown in step 2.
Over the brown. Blending it out. Do. Little more blue than black. And down to the white. This glazy meme. Glazy meme really slows down the drying time of the paint, so you have a second to blend if you need it. And I also really like that there's a little bit of the brown showing through. So that's actually okay. I think that looks really nice. It just creates an interesting painterly background, which sometimes, you know, one wants an interestingly painterly background. So one's puffin can show.
It's a puffin show. Oh, I like that background though.
Yeah,
Very nice.
something different, something more unusual. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Anywho.
And penguins are the ones that love the most. Or puffins are the ones who love the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're lovely, lovely.
Penguins are kind of a dark bird. You got to watch penguins. They have some rough societal behaviors.
I saw some puffins on YouTube that had this wonderful, Northeast Canadian accent, and they were just hilarious.
Oh, is that the Zafrank ones?
It may have been the Zafrank ones.
Okay, yeah, there's a very funny puffin video over at Zafrank's. We like very much. It's very cute. So I'm just blending this out. I'm just making sure that this has got kind of a misty, atmospheric kind of background. And this will feel a little bit, you know, kind of in some ways like an oil painting, especially when you are looking at it directly on, because it'll be like a little bit gemmy to the background and it'll look a little deeper. It's just a fun thing that you can do. There we go.
I think it was
Now, if you're having trouble with that coverage, you can do 2 coats of your blue-gray and, you know, take out more of your brown. It's really up to you. But what we're trying to make sure is that we have kind of a smoky gray going on. Get a little bit more of my blue going.
See, now I got the song. Puffin', stuffin', lovin'.
That's it. That's the song. Gonna kind of smoke it up here. Just so our, you know, the black of the puffin is nice. And you can see the blending medium allows me to blend for quite a while.
It extends.
It extends the drying time of your colors. The word that paint companies use to talk about something that makes your paint last longer and stay more blendable longer is the word is open.
Oh, Pam is up from Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And she says that the puffins will be back any day now.
Oh, well, this is perfect for that then. So I love puffins. I've done one other puffin painting, and I'm surprised I haven't been back to do another one. This one I really wanted to do. When I did the bird hop with my mom, this was one of the ones we voted on. It came really close. Mm-hmm. Like the other one just barely beat it out.
It's my favorite bird.
Yeah. And so, and I didn't want to like overturn the vote just because John loves the birds. So,
you're gonna have
in fairness, I got to dry it.
You're going to dry it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, I have to say the one
But
thing...
first, I'm going to enjoy my coffee.
Yeah, totally. I was going to say, the thing I lament most about when we lived in Canada was not making it over to the other coast, to Newfoundland.
That's the other thing I lament about not making it to Ireland is we didn't get to see the puffins there.
Yeah, I know.
It's just not making it to Ireland was super sad.
Although we are on this other coast now. We're closer to the puffins now.
That's true.
We're
puffin driving distance.
We are.
Yeah. I mean, it's a drive, but it's a driving distance.
It's a weekender.
It's a weekend. I like it. It's a weekender. All right. I'm going to dry this. Then for a second, I'm going to dry this painting.
All right. So I'm going to, I'm a puffin fan. I don't know why. I think they're awesome. I think they are the most distinguished of attire. You know, I don't know. I just think it's pretty cool. Got the awesome little feet. So, thank you guys for joining us. It's so lovely to see everybody here today. If you haven't had a chance, join us in the live. Oh, thank you, Bree. Man, thank you to all of our patrons and supporters. You know, we are doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We've been working on website technology, our SMS update technology. It's all coming back slowly, piece by piece, brick by Lego brick. We are rebuilding the back end.
Of what?
Of everything on the
Of
back
everything.
end, like the website. The
Did
SMS
you say thank you to Bree Snyder?
I did, but I was going to.
Okay.
Please.
Wait. I'm going to have a...
You're going to have a thing. I'm going to mute her again while she has a thing and say, thank you, Bree. We think you are amazing, too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I appreciate everyone for coming. And it's just like, I appreciate the faces that I see every time. I want to shout out all the moderators because they show up like every video. I like know at least I have community like moderators coming to a live show. Whenever I'm like, oh, will anyone come to the live show? I'm like, well, at least the moderators will. Now this here is the traceable I mentioned, and on the back of it is a product called Ceril paper. It is, let me get it here. It's this stuff, Ceril transfer paper for art. I get it in the white, and I put it the chalky side down, and then I use low tack tape to tape this up, and I'm going to kind of line this up so there's a space all around the puffin. So there's negative space because negative space is the part where like this space around the bird. It's our negative space. It's not negative in like it's bad, but it's negative in it that doesn't have subject matter in it. And then I'm going to fix the tape around it. And I do this at 4 points because the thing that messes up a transfer is if your transfer shifts, it starts to look like you glitched, which is cool if you're looking to create a glitch effect, but not cool if you're trying to create just a puffin effect. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sharp pencil and I just trace over the lines. Trace over the lines. I wish this segment of the show was a little bit faster.
I think we go there now. I'm going to give you step 3.
On the mouse, we kind of sped that one up, just that one. But here we got to like...
This is a step 3, right?
Yeah, this is step 3.
We're going to...
All right, so I'm going to put my glasses on in case I need it. And I'm going to just go over. I press real hard with my pencil. Especially when I've done the glazing liquid, because sometimes it makes it a little resisty to the traceable.
While you're tracing that, there's a really nice comment here from Taylor. I had to scroll back to catch it. I'll read it to you. It says, I've never taken an art class in my life. Have been painting with you for a month now, and my mother-in-law artist is so impressed. I never thought I had a creative bone in my body.
Oh man, that is really good to hear.
Yeah.
That is why we make art lessons on YouTube. That is exactly why.
Thank you, Amy, for helping me catch that one.
I love that. I like doing the eye.
The eyes have it.
The eyes have it. I also like the cute tuxedo pattern. Again, the trick is just to press hard enough that it's like forced to transfer down. You can also freehand this if you want to. That's also allowed. Completely acceptable in the world of what we do here. Whatever makes you happy. Just going over every line. Trying to make sure I'm pressing hard enough to get a transfer. Coming down. And coming down.
Ooh, we have a new emoji chat joiner.
Oh, well, welcome to Emoji Chat. Enjoy your custom emojis.
I
haven't changed those up in a while. I should change them up soon. But it's like the YouTube has made it hard to get into the editing part of that process. So I'm like, I can't get in there. I just found my way back in. They keep moving my dashboard. So I like find a button and then they move it. And I'm like, yeah, we're not all 13 on this platform. Sometimes you got to leave things where I last found it or I'm not going to get back to it.
I am, our newest joiner here of Emoji Club has such a lovely name that I am just bamboozled on how to pronounce.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. I see where you're there. Well, then there's nothing to do but Google it.
Yeah, no, that is it's I'm generally good at like looking at phonetic things, but that one I'm definitely gonna have to ask for help.
All right. I'm going to just lift this up, lift the tape up, untape this is the trick. Just pulling up the tape. Like I really taped it down though, so that's what happened. I tape it down hard. Ah, it worked very, very well. There we go. So now I have that line drawing. Now the thing to know about Cero paper is you can use it again and again and again. The current piece I'm using, I've used like 4 times so far in the last few lessons where you've seen me use Cero paper. So just so you know, I can reuse the Cero paper. I don't have to get a fresh sheet every time either. So I think that's important. So that's how you transfer the image on. Or if you're freehanding it, this is the one where you do it. Oh, I like this. This is very good. I'm probably going to have to keep my glasses on. Oh, and I'm going to sip my coffee and decide what I want to do for the next step. I'm probably going to block in. That's going to be me. Blocking in. I'm going to block it in. Just knowing me. I'm going to block it in. Knowing me, knowing you. Uh-huh. Blocking it in. Blocking it in. Blocking in is a kind of underpainting that we do where we kind of create not the darkest values, but like the general value color of an area in one of its darker values. So, and that can be really helpful when we are transferring an image on the canvas. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch angle just so that I'm not having to work super hard. I'll go ahead and just do black where the penguin, the puffin is black. I like the angle because it's got that little pointed toe, so I can paint around things very, very easily. And it's got sharp edges. We're going to put all of our black in first. If you don't like the angle brush, you could use a round brush or whatever brush makes you feel comfortable. Bring that kind of over the edge and down. I can always get a little glazing medium if I need to improve the flow of my paint. So I can use water or glazing liquid. Kind of curving around here. Paint that in. And then below the stem, a little bit around that lower beak. That's looking real good. I'll come and get a little of my gray color from up here. I'm going to go ahead and paint this part of our little beacon a bit gray. A little bit of gray down below. Now I'm going to get a lot more of the white on my brush. I'm not going to bother rinsing out. That's okay. It can stay there. I might even grab a little bit of my burnt sienna. I'm going to create an off-white. Very carefully paint all of this white in. This is just the first layer, and it's my darkest value in my white almost. You're going to find that painting white is a very colorful experience. Those of you who did the white horse from Christmas are like, oh yeah, a lot of colors in a white animal. So because we're painting, we get to do that here as well. Again, get a little bit of my gray, a little bit of my burnt sienna. Kind of a nice little uneven patterning right here. Lazy medium if I have to improve the flow. You'll notice I'm not too worried about brush directionality. I'm like pretty loose with that, pretty expressive with that. Now I'm going to come work in here. Sometimes I have to like change my position so I can just see well. And we've kept our little triangle so we know where that is. And then we'll come over here and I'm just going to use the corner of my brush to kind of put that little eye on. Now, we're going to call this a step, even though we're going to underpaint for a second, and I'm going to rinse out my brush, but we're going to call this a step and we're going to dry it. So that, yeah, that way I can rest my hand and get into some of these detailed areas and not drag paint.
Okay, I'll re-step after you dry that.
Okay.
So, yeah, sometimes you just have to dry between layers to get the nice, thorough coverage that's necessary. So don't be afraid if you're painting at home and you have to do this a couple times. It's totally okay. So, yeah. dry your surface, get your paints ready, and we'll kind of go from there. I think didn't take too long. We're going to re-step that 5.
Yeah, we're re-step 5. That's pretty dry. Re-step 5. I'm going to get into a round brush so I have more control. I want my control. So step 5, I'm going to come here and work just a little bit on the basis of the beak. I'm going to grab a little bit of my Quinacridone and my Cad Red. And then I'm going to get my Cad Yellow involved here. Make a fairly bright orange. I'm going to get a little bit more of my yellow going into this and get some of my burnt sienna. A little more of the yellow orange into it. And grab some white. There we go.
Puffin concentration.
Puffin concentration is what I'm on. I'm going to take my little beak color and I'll add a smidge of Ultramarine to it and do the inside of the mouth.
Quite a nice puffin.
So we're just getting that beginning.
The beak.
The beginning of the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of the beginning.
The beak ginning.
The beak beginning. I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad Red. Very carefully make a nice little circle. You get my brush and my glazing liquid and get into my black. So we're already kind of getting like halfway into our puffin. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to take a little bit of my white and a smidge of my purple. I'm going to color them along the edge of my flower a little bit.
You know, Miranda, lovely comment here. Thank you for having us be part of that with you. So that's just Lovely to read some of the comments out here. Susan's super focused on following the lines.
Yeah, I am. I'm like super focused on following the lines, but I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to concentrate too.
I've been here long enough to sort of like know when she's like, I have brush focus.
Brush focus is large today.
It's a very pretty flower.
And I'll add a little bit of the white up there. It's looking pretty good. And then it can be somewhat to the outer edge here. And then I get a little of my quinacridone and my diox together. Mix a little white in. Paint the purple in. So again, we're just blocking in. It's like, this stage is almost like, has some similarities to like what we do when we're almost like coloring. We're just creating fields of color. But it also lets us have, you know, a lot of memory over what object is where.
Well, I'm going to say hello to Eva, who's all the way over in the Czech Republic.
Hi.
Very far away today.
That is awesome. Welcome.
Lovely to have you painting with us.
Now I might get a little bit more into my white here. So it's a slightly lighter purple.
A slightly lighter.
Bring this around. So that's how we're keeping the little bend of the flower. I'll wipe off and get a much lighter light. And like to the outside edge here. Come and put it back where I might be losing it here. And then back into my other purple. And add some little petals that we have kind of coming off there. So now we've got a little bit of the folding and a little bit of the flower worked out.
No, because I'm not sure where our last step was. I'm gonna give us a step here, if that's okay.
For the stem? Because that's where I'm finishing.
Oh, yeah.
So wherever we were, I think is where we were.
Okay.
Whatever our last step is our last step, because right now it wouldn't be worth it to have a step for just the green stem.
All right, we'll just keep going then.
I'm going to continue and get a little bit of my green and my burnt sienna together. And a little bit of my cad yellow. Sometimes I add a little more brown just to make it more green gold. Start to paint that in the darkest green value that we have. Just pulling that back there. So blocking in really helps us hold the image on our painting in a similar way that something called a grisaille does, which is a tonal study of the subject that you paint in generally a brown and light white values or black and white values, and then glaze colors over it. This kind of gives us a similar thing where we have the underpainting that we need, to get the painting laid out the way we want it. And then we come back and we add like the value and the subtlety of all the areas and give it a lot of color and make it really, really pop. All right, I'm going to dry this. I would love my coffee heated.
You know what? That's a superpower I should work on. And I noticed there were some folks asking here about selling paintings and tutorials and things. We totally, like, we have a lot of folks who sell them at crafts fairs and things like that. And to your families and friends. We only ask that you just note on that it was either like a student work or a tutorial, or in some way that it was it was a student work that that you didn't do the design. That's just sort of generally what we ask when you sell those things or rotate them.
Unless it's a private sale, and then like if it's like to a friend or family member, I don't really just when it's in public exhibition. That's actually also to protect you, because that way somebody doesn't come by and go, that's an art shirt.
Yeah,
if you put the attribution there, then you don't have to deal with any aggravation.
Right. No art cops are going to come by and like point out.
You got to watch out for those art cops, man.
So it's mostly just for your own, like we really
there's
don't
not real
mind.
art police. That's not a real thing that's out there in the world, but
Self-appointed
art cops definitely exist. There are some self-emboldened. Yeah, that definitely I have run into, and it is not my favorite.
Yeah.
You want to heat my coffee? Is there any questions? No.
No?
Is there any questions I can answer while you're heating my coffee?
I think I answered it while I was...
Oh, well, darn it. Okay, you can heat it while I paint. I'm going to paint...
I'll give you a step.
I'm going to paint on the white then, I think.
All right, I'll do that. I'll come back with hot coffee.
So I'm going to get my white out, and this time I'm going to grab just a smidge of my Phthalo Blue, maybe a smidge my Phthalo Green. It's just a little bit of a icy blue color. It's much lighter than the background. Not the lightest, it's not my whitest white, but it's just that next value up. I'm going to come here and kind of put this little highlight on the chest. I'm going to add glazing liquid so it blends for a second. I'm still using my 1/2 inch angle brush. Just a little bit of that blue in there. I really like that. It's not strong blue. It's like it would still be in the white or near to white section of your hardware store. Yes. Caffeine. Scalding caffeine. Nom 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 nom.
Is that better?
So much better.
That's okay, good.
Nom 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 nom.
It's got a little blue
a little
there,
lighter value here. Yeah, there's a little blue in it. Little Arctic blue.
All right, I'm going to warm my coffee up now.
You're going to warm your coffee up now? Well, if you must. I'm going to take a little bit of my Ultramarine here and my burnt sienna. I'm going to mix them together, and I'm going to get kind of a brown gray. And here at the bottom, I'm using, it's just a little bit different than the first gray we put down, but it's close. And it's the darkest right down here, under the wing a little bit. And then again, under the flower. Glazing liquid as I come up. Blending it in. So the brightest part of my chest will be right up here at the front, and then it'll be like kind of a light gray coming down. And we'll keep lightening it. We'll keep working these values. Wipe off my brush. Smidge of my blue. Smidge, smidge, smidge. That was a lot. A little green. Getting in that Icelandic blue, you know? That aqua. So I'll mix the Icelandic and then I'll mix it into my white over here. Blending it in over into the gray. Oh, I actually like this sort of little brush. This is the orange from earlier with the burnt sienna. I may put some of this down here. The glazing liquid going. Blend it in with our gray. So we're being very colorful. I'm varying my brush stroke. This helps me kind of do the blend in, kind of hide the brush stroke that way too. Giving me a loose, painterly effect. Rinse out. And pull out a lot more white and a smidge of my yellow. Right here on this outer edge. Being very light with this. Using glazing medium to smooth it out. Lightly brush it into the other zone so it's like blending back. I'm going to grab a little bit of my white. Kind of just here at this edge. Get some bright white. Got back into my Icelandic blue so that I have a good edge from my black to there. And blend it down. And what's nice is that gives him a lot of reflected light and also does some nice color play against the purple. Oh, Deborah Evans, who loves it. Thank you. And Andrea, can you scroll back up? Andrea said, how do I do beginning? How do I find beginners video? Oh, so I have several. My best beginner series of videos is the beginner acrylic painting course. And there's the first sort of everything you need to know about acrylic paint in 7 classes, and then your 10 first paintings ever to do. And it's based on primaries, and it's a really good course. Then anything called a one hoot, and I have a playlist of one hoot paintings. Those are beginner paintings, and they kind of introduce you to some of these concepts and ideas. This is the 2 hoot, 3 hoot range. It's still for beginners, but it's very, very, very guided. So you're not having to like figure it out all on your own. kind of a scenario. And Lynn says, love, love, love your painting, Cinnamon. Well, thank you, Lynn. I do too. This is making me very happy.
Yeah,
it makes me very happy.
It's a very nice puffin.
It's a little portrait of a puffin building a beautiful nest for their mate, and they're decorating with flowers. It's like, what else would he carry? Like, this is so crazy. That's got to be like for nesting material.
Puffing it up.
Okie dokie then. I'm going to come up and start working the little cheek area. So I'm going to come back in, and it's all sort of the same colors. I'm using my round brush this time. This is a number 6 Raphael sepia brush. I'm going to come down here and I might actually get into my round blender. A little bit grayer here. A little bit gray coming back. Grab a little bit more white. Right next to the beak. Let me actually get a smaller angle brush, which I have.
You have?
I always try to get a size that lets me work the area. I think I might switch to my smaller angle brush, which is a 1/4 inch angle, also by the Catalyst line. I just want to have a smaller brush as I'm working this area, but bigger than the round because I don't want to spend all day working on it. There's a nice little corner that comes off there. Just putting a little bit of a lighter gray above there. And then when I work through here, I'm going to work these kinds of lighter highlights and up over there. So that we're just finding the same colors again. Working all the same ideas. So this was my blue, my light aqua. Definitely catch all of this over here. So it's not like a white. But in contrast to everything else, it will feel like it is. Get back into my gray color. Just kind of create a nice blend between these two zones. Maybe a little bit lighter as it comes down this little edge there. And a little lighter as it comes down that little edge there. Grab a little bit of my yellow. And right here on the forward face of the cheek, I'm going to kind of pop an even bigger highlight. So this is the puffinest part of the puffin. Go ahead and get a little bit of that orange color from earlier. And dry brush that down here. So dry brushing is where you don't have a lot of paint on your brush and you see a lot of the texture of the canvas underneath. It's like a really nice thing that you can do to get cool details and effects when you need it. All right, let's call that a step. So we're puffing along with our puffin. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my Mars Black and my Phthalo Blue. I'm going to come up here, and where this is black, I'm going to paint this in this dark color. It will actually almost seem blacker than black. Still using my angle brush. I might get some glazing liquid involved so it doesn't completely dry on me right away. Because I want to do some subtle smoky blending in it. So coming up here, and get a little white on my brush. And look for that hidden water drop that likes to get on those tiny little brushes, right? And I'm going to blend in a little bit of that white and gray, kind of at the front. It comes up over the head, and it's just a subtle, we do it in subtle steps. Subtle steps. Just a little bit at the top there. Then into the blacker and black again, which is Mars Black and Phthalo Blue together. Coming along here, along this edge, just getting the blacker than black in. I'm letting this sort of come up here dry so I can come back and do some dry brushing and a little bit to add that dusty gray. Isn't he getting dapper?
Indeed.
Just bring that down through. Now taking my gray here again, adding a good amount of white to get a light gray. Now I wipe off the extra paint and I'm going to come above here and kind of, I might need it even drier to do it. There we go. Just lightly highlighted. Come along that top edge with the highlight. Blend in. So that's how you get that nice subtle little highlight at the front. That makes him cute. That makes him so cute. Okay, let's dry everything. Call this a step.
Dry, dry,
Dry,
dry.
dry, 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 dry.
Sippy,
Dry.
sippy the coffee.
Sippy, sippy, dry, dry. A coffee.
Good coffee.
Good coffee.
So, gotta dry, dry, dry between the steps. Make sure thoroughly dry. So you're ready to go on to the next step. He's coming together quite quickly here. Quite a nice little duder. Looks so nice. I just am quite pleased how this has come together. And quite quickly, too. It's not been, he's happening faster than I thought. So, if you're a beginner, painting along and thinking, or watching along, thinking, can I do this? Well, yeah, this is very approachable. So.
Okay. Yes, you can sell the painting. And T. Marie says, Sherpa, my daughter, won the painting contest in her class. She painted one of your horse paintings. She was happy and proud of it. Absolutely refreshing to see her smiling and having so much fun. Please congratulate her. I think that is just wonderful. I'm very happy to read that. Okay, on we go. Onward with our good news. I'm going to grab a number 2 Raphael liner. It's just a tiny little detail brush. Get it wet again, and I'm going to get into my bright red and yellow to create a really good orange. Get some glazing medium involved to improve the flow. This really helps it flow off my brush. I offload the fat paint, which is like where I just had too much paint on there, and I'm going to very carefully kind of go around here. And get that orange lined in. Then I'm going to get a little black. I'm going to come in and kind of curve this a little bit. Have that go out just a little. Getting that little squaring of the eyes. I'm going to come along the beak. On the front edge. Underneath going back. And then kind of into where that yellow is going to be. I'm going to take a little bit of my red and black glazing liquid. Start to paint in some of that dark value that I can come stripe in as we go. Get some of my orange. Oh, Shade Joe, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is my Cad Red and my Cad Yellow. Gonna grab a little more yellow into the mix. Get a little white into it. Bring that down. Get a little more yellow. Come around this part of the beak. Rinse off. I'm going to go ahead and grab a little more white and get into my gray here. And also kind of bring that gray down here. Highlighted this.
Thank you, Shay.
A little black here. I'm going to bring a little black back up. If I need glazing liquid to do it, I will. Get some glazing liquid. A little more. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to get a little more white on my brush. And go into the yellow orange that I made from earlier. Get my glazing liquid if I need it to improve. Kind of up to a little point there, and then we kind of a little streak down. Line back along the little beak there. You can bring up a little streak there. Just a little bit on the beak, the highlighting.
A little beaky.
A little beaky. Just like lots of little colors is what I like. Trim that down a little bit. Back into my highlight color. And then highlight just the top of that little yellow there. While that is having a dry, I'm going to come back with my black and with a little bit of water. I wipe my brush off to make sure there's not a hidden water drop that's going to come down and like get me. I'm going to make this little lining of the eye a little thinner. I'm making the eye a little bigger. There we go. Look at him come together. Isn't he gorgeous?
Yeah.
Woo!
Wow.
Like sometimes it's nice to just stop and take a piece in.
Take a little look at what you've done so far.
Yeah, take a little gander at what you've done so far and enjoy it. Oh, T. Marie's got to go to doctor's appointment. My wish for today, and the wish is that every single person here, the best day ever with lots of smiles and positivity. That is a fantastic wish.
That's a wonderful
I wish
wish.
that for you as well as you go off in there. And thank you, Moderator Rainbow, for linking the full beginner course. Yeah, if you're looking for a beginner course that just explains acrylics and takes a couple years off of your learning curve, that course does it. It's totally free. It's a completely free course, and the first 7 paintings is just what you need to know about acrylic paint, like everything from what types of paint are, what all the words mean, the basic techniques you need to know, the brushes you need to know, how to set up your studio, even the kind of lighting that you would have. Like all of that fundamental stuff is in the course. And then the first 10 paintings for you to put all those lessons into practice. So it's really cool. And Lynn says Maddie Rose fell in love with Fairy, and she's painting it for her. And Deb from Genome Thread Artistry says, I bought several of your specialty brushes, and boy, have they made a difference in the quality of my paintings. I never like to make you guys feel like you've got to have the brush I have or the stuff that I have, but if I'm using a product or painting with it, it's because it's really helpful in my art practice. Ooh, now we have the big job.
The big job?
Yeah, it's the flower.
The flower would be the 10th step then.
Yeah, the flower is our big job.
Huh?
Okay. So I'm going to get into my other round. This is again my number 6 Raphael. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow down here and get it into the burnt sienna and phthalo green and cad yellow from earlier. So this is a lighter color. So to come along here, and maybe I like dry brush this up into the petal a little bit, and I'll dry brush that up into the petal a little bit. Bring that along there. Get my darker green. A little bit along there because it's got like a little of its leaves starting to come out. Get into more yellow green. While that's having a rest, I can start to paint my flower in a little bit. So I'm going to get my white into my purple mixture from earlier, which was the Cad Magenta, the Magenta and the Dox Purple. And get a little white going, slightly lighter color. Number 6. Come into this flower. Then as I'm coming down the flower, I'm going to get a smidge on my yellow green, kind of blend it in. And while I have that yellow green, I'm going to come here underneath this one. And right here as well. And get a little of my yellow green, still with my purple on my brush. Coming down that petal. I rinsed off and wiped off my brush, and I'm going to kind of blend in maybe a slightly darker purple. Right here. I wiped off my brush, and now I'm just using it to blend these two areas together. I can always come into my dark, dark, dark purple if there's something where I want to kind of shade it a little bit. Come back up here and now I'm going to get into that yellow green. It's the very bright yellow green. Come up that stem. Maybe the end of that stem a little bit. I can wipe off the brush and kind of blend it if I need to. Can always blend it if you need to. Get a little bit more of my nice light purple color. Can mix some of my purple into it. I want it to be light enough where when I do the veining will show. Now to do this next part, I have to dry this whole flower so I can do the little delicate lining.
That makes sense.
And we could, we could be like, this is good enough, but we're not going to be.
I think it's good. I'm enjoying it. Gotta go. Take it to the full flower. And if you guys, I'll just give us a little plug. If you guys need any of these materials, please consider supporting our store at the artsherpa.com. We have a store there. It's a growing store. We have lots and lots and lots of products. If you have any problem, we have our own support at the artsherpa.com. We do our best to, really to support our customer base, and it's a way that you guys can help support keeping our little lights on. So, there, a plug for our store.
Yeah, all these brushes are at the store.
We're on the 11th step.
Down on the 11th step. So now I'm going to be using my glazing liquid and a very fine detail pen. This is a number 0 round. Generally, as the numbers go lower on rounds, the more fine they are. I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on. I'm going to come over to my purple, my just dark, dark, dark purple, and glazing medium. So this is different than using the water for it, but you could use water if you needed to. And then I'm going to Add a little bit of the dark lining. Just little lines going down, and pay attention to the direction of the flower. There we go, a little bit of veining. Veining. A little bit of veining. And put some veining here. Just veining through here. It's a bit fussy, but you know. Now I might, for this one side, I'm going to come over to my quinacridone. It's the purple and the quinacridone. And for this lower area, have it be a little more quinacridone. Bring it on into the green. Come up here, start to do the same here.
Some detail to that, you know.
Yeah.
It really kind of pop.
Really helps it find its shape and flow and feel like an iris to us. And it's one of those things, like, it's not so hard in a technique where you couldn't do it even as you're very new in painting. That, I would say, your lining is more about the flow of your paint and the quality of your brush in this particular case. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into my white. A lot of white. And bring that back. Rinse off. Go ahead and pull some white out and some glazing liquid. Roll my brush. Come back here and just very carefully Very delicately line this back edge. There's a bit of a highlight back there.
Very nice.
Just finishing out our little iris. Along here. And I'm going to go ahead and get into my green and yellow. Just add little highlights there. I'm wiping off my brush, I rinsed them, wiping off, and I'm getting just a smidge of white. Gonna just add that reflection to the eye because it's just gonna make it look a little nicer. Just work that little highlight right there. All right, let's look at what we've got. Well, we painted ourselves a puffin today, didn't we?
That's a pretty amazing puffin. He's got his beautiful little flower thing there. That's really nice.
I like it a lot. I'm going to grab my green, my yellow green.
Yeah.
Into my white. Just want a color that's in the painting. Will show on my background, but won't pull my whole eye down to my signature. Well, now, isn't this like the old days? Like, it's like...
Super nice.
This, I would say this feels like more like I'm back.
Yep.
I feel more like I'm back. Not totally back, but more like I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we did a puffin. We did a puffin
so nice.
holding an iris flower. We got a really colorful, dynamic painting out of it. So, like, the thing I like about art is sometimes it can take it past the reference photo and take it into new places. And that's something that I think is unique to art and painting over, say, photography. Even though I think photography is art, and then through lenses and filters and everything, they can be quite expressive. I just like what we can do as painters, where we can bend, reality a little bit and pull in a emotionality through color and through the expression, like how he feels then in his world because of the color is, I think, really special. So I hope you enjoyed that part of the lesson. Did I miss any questions before I run off anywhere?
I don't think so. I've been dadding over here in the background here in the last couple minutes.
Dadding.
I had some
Talk to Dad. Oh yeah, and again, just a shameless plug. We've got a patronage, and if you want to help support the show, you can go by there. The patrons get cool rewards. All patronages give cool rewards. But there's a lot of original art that we do just for the patrons, and a different kind of live scenario where we do Zoom classes with some of the patrons.
The Zooms are the most fun.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't gotten to a Zoom, highly recommend coming to a Zoom because I do a lot of extra kind of educational stuff there. Like we just did a watercolor class and I spent like a whole part leading up to it just talking about techniques and showing people how to warm up for watercolor just in case they hadn't ever seen watercolor before we did the lesson. So everybody had a better chance at getting a good result. So I try to do things like that or make fun games or just make it a little more interesting over there. And then everybody gets the replay of the classes, which John's going to get one up this week. So that's something that you could do. And at certain levels, you get free digital downloads and some other cool stuff. So yay that. Definitely we have a store. If you want to go to the store, you don't have to. And if you have questions that I didn't get to, like you're here on the replay and you're like, I did this whole thing, but I have this burning question for you. Definitely put it in the comments. I don't see everything, but I try to get in here and do as much as I can to see as much as I can.
And the Facebook group.
Oh, and we've got a Facebook group. So if you want to share your puffin somewhere and you want to do it in a closed area where, you're not showing it to every family member or friend you ever had, but you want to share your painting, I have a group, the Art Sherpa Official. It's a private group. You answer the 3 questions and you can come in there and share your tutorials there, which I really, really like because it's a good, safe place to share it. And then this Thursday, we're painting a boat by the ocean live again. And then Saturday is the Unbelievable Renaissance Mouse, which is all the Hoots. It's a deep dive. If you guys have been looking for like one of those more deep dive kind of classes, it's just really gorgeous and it matches the crow and the rabbit. So that's wonderful. And then we've got another deep dive class coming up the next weekend, which John is editing on right now. So, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of that stuff I just talked about. And go sign up for our newsletter on my website so that you get the newsletter when I send those out. Because like sometimes I'll even put like classes you might have missed or just different stuff you might see or upcoming things. All right. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel real soon.